Hello friends, this is a video for the seventh experiment. In this video I'm going to talking about exception handling. So in exception handling, this is I'm going to create a Java program with a menu driven program in Java to perform the operations on an integer queue by making the use of the concept of interfaces. So here I have to make queue. So I have to create I have to show in the output exceptions if any came between while entering the data by the user, like a non-integer value is encountered in the queue. If a user enters a non-integer value, that is value other than the integer, then I have to show an exception. And while if a user is trying to insert some values into the queue when the queue is full, then I have to show an exception. Otherwise, I have to show exceptions while remove operations when queue is empty. So for this, I have to use interface. So I made a interface called queue operation, queue op. In this queue operation, I have three abstract classes, three abstract methods: enqueue, dequeue, and display enqueue, used to insert elements into the queue. Dequeue is used to remove elements, and display is used to display the elements present in the queue. So I have here created a queue array. I have initialized front rear as -1. Max is the maximum length of the queue. So here in enqueue, so my logic is that if rear is -1 and if the input user is trying to insert an element, so rear will be incremented, front will be also incremented, and the queue rear equal to I, that I value will be inserted into the rear position. And if rear plus 1 is greater than max, so if rear value of the rear is greater than max, then I'm throwing a index out of bound exception, calling it as queue overflow. That means queue is full and we cannot enter any data. And if rear plus 1 is less than max, then we can enter by incrementing rear and entering the data into the rear position. In dequeue, again, if front is -1, that means that there is no value to be removed. There is no value, so I'm throwing a exception called no such element exception, calling it as queue underflow. And if there is elements to be removed, so again I am checking if front is equal to rear. If front is equal to rear, that means there is only one element, and I'm decrementing front and rear as -1. Else I am incrementing front and returning the value which is to be removed. And displays function, if len is equal to 0, here len is length, kept it as a count. So if len is incrementing, that means some values have been inserted into the queue. So if len is 0, that means no value is there, so queue is empty. And if len is greater than 0, then that means there is some value to be displayed. So I'm displaying using the for loop. So in the main function, which contains the public static void main function in the main class, so I'm asking the user to enter the size of the queue. Again, it's a menu driven program, so I'm using switch case. Each case is used to, first case is used to enqueue, second case is used to dequeue, and third is to display. So again, while entering the data, asking the data from the user, I'm here again checking a exception called input mismatch exception. This exception like catches the input which is other than the integer. If anyone tries to give input other than the integer, it catches that exception and it error this message is shown, that is input is not integer. Again, while removing element, if again I'm using the try catch block to catch the exception and show it in the console, as while removing, if there is no element to be removed in the queue, it catches the exception and shows the error, as well as in the display function too. So here let us check the output. Yeah, as I told, it is asking enter the size of the queue. So I'm entering the size. So I want to enter some values into the queue. Yeah, four values. So again I want to enter into that queue. So like if I'm trying to enter into the queue with showing error queue overflow, that is, this exception is working perfectly because it's exceeding the size of the queue. Now again, here I am removing the element. If I want to display, yes, it's displaying the element. So like if I want to remove all the elements, I will dequeue every element. While 15 was the last element in the queue, so when I dequeued the 15, the queue becomes empty, and again if when I try to dequeue some element from the queue, it's showing error queue underflow, that is, exception is caught, exception is caught, as there is no element to be removed. Again, if I want to display element, showing no element to be displayed, as there are no elements to be present in the queue. Now I want to show this input mismatch thing. So I'm entering the queue, like I'm entering letter E. So E is not an integer, so it's showing error input is not integer. The input mismatch function, input mismatch exception is also working perfectly. So in this way you can do exception handling programs in Java. Thank you for watching my video.